Today I decided to rebuild the carburetor on my 1963 Lambretta Turismo Veloce 175cc. First I had to take the carburetor off of the manifold. For this I needed an 8mm wrench, a 10mm wrench, and a few flathead screwdrivers. Oh, and a hammer. The day after I bought this scooter, I had cleaned the carb, but it wasn't enough. I needed to totally rebuild it. It took a long time to get the carb off of the manifold. It was really stuck on there. I had to hit it with a wrench from the Kickstarter side of the bike. Make sure when you take the carb off, you shove a paper towel in the manifold so you don't accidentally drop anything in there or get it too dirty. When I got it off, I put all the pieces into a plastic container and I brought it to the bike shop, where I took it apart and let it soak in an ultrasonic cleaner. I love the ultrasonic cleaner because it uses normal water, it doesn't use toxic chemicals, but it really works to clean up your parts. Obviously, it's really easy to take stuff apart, so I won't go into too much detail here. Just take everything apart, take the bowl off, there's a little pin to get the float out. Everything should come apart very easily. I was a little worried about keeping track of the screws, but there are fewer than 8 screws, so it's not so bad. Then the fun part is putting everything back together again. Make sure you clean your jets. The main jet is 2 pieces. Take that apart with an 8mm wrench and a flathead screwdriver. I used an air compressor to blow out the jets and hopefully clean out any tiny pieces of whatever that might be stuck in there. The 3 jets are all different sizes, so they only go in one hole each. The shortest one, the littlest one, is the idle jet. The medium one is the starter jet, and then the big one is the main jet and the atomizer. The atomizer is the long part with the hex head, and the main jet is the tiny part that goes on top of it. My main jet, I thought I was reading it correctly, it said 90, but it's supposed to be 106, so maybe I was reading it upside down. I don't know. I'm gonna check next time I take the carb off. The atomizer has the number 5899-2. The main improvement I made today was to put in a new needle. I put in the new needle with a red tip. The Stickies manual told me that this is for newer unleaded fuel. The black one is for leaded fuel, like in the past, in the 60s. I put the carb float in, the pin in, and then I put the bowl around that. It uses just round flathead screws, not hex head ones. I screwed that together. Then I put on the fuel banjo inlet thing. The carb rebuild kit comes with new gaskets for that. There's a little one for the outside, a bigger one for the inside. They're just like paper or cardboard, but it's so the fuel intake won't leak. It's pretty important. That bolt there is an 8mm and a flathead, so you can reach in there because it's right by the engine mount. Make sure you angle it so your fuel line doesn't hit that engine mount. It's a tight fit. I had a little trouble putting on the slide because I made this mistake of putting the spring around the slide rod. It's not supposed to be like that. The spring only goes next to the slide and the little rod. I didn't adjust this linkage because it was pretty clean as is. Make sure it just feels good at this point, because if it doesn't, your scooter won't feel good and it won't slide up and down, and that would be bad. An important thing to do here is check that the slide lives up to its name. It's got to slide smoothly. The little screw here is the mixture adjuster screw. To set it, turn it all the way in and then count how much you unscrew it out. I set mine to 1.5 turns out, but I later heard that the better starting point is 2 full turns out, although the Stickies manual says to start it at 1/2 turn out. So there's no consensus on this. When you unscrew the screw, the mixture becomes more rich, which means there's more fuel in the air to fuel ratio. It started nicely, but it revved a bit high. I think I've got some sort of air leak. And then I quit for the day because it was super muggy out and I wanted to quit while I was ahead. I had other things going on. A few days later, I went back at it and I tightened things down. The 2 bolts on the top of the slide, I had to screw in more. And then the clamp for the manifold was loose too. I had to screw that down tighter. And then it ran better. It had that pop, pop, popcorn sound that vintage scooters are supposed to have. If you want more detail on this, I'm sorry I didn't cover it in a ton of detail. Check out Jeff Allen's videos on YouTube. He does a better job explaining the intricacies of the Dell'Orto carbs. That's it. Thanks for watching.